Welcome. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to play Everdell Pearlbrook. There's actually not too much to how you play Pearlbrook, because it just adds a couple of things. But it also adds a bunch of new cards. And so the other videos will be mostly focusing on these new cards that we've got, including the adornment cards as well. So, and these cards over here as well. So there's a lot of information on the cards to go over, and so those will take a few videos more than likely. But we'll just kind of go over how this game works, with this expansion works with the main game, and what are the changes and things like that. Well, first of all, we each get a Frog Ambassador when we're playing with Pearlbrook, and you choose the color that goes with the worker that you chose. And the Azultals here are my favorite worker in this expansion. Mostly because I just love Azultals. I've always have. I've known about them for quite some time. So they're a really cool, interesting animal for sure. And so the Azultal is a pretty nice one. And it's got an interesting little power too for Belfair's expansion as well. And then the platypuses and the otters are pretty good too. And my friend even enjoyed playing with the starlings, which are the other workers in this expansion. So, anyways, that about covers the workers. But the Frog Ambassador, you may put at one of these locations here during your turn, during each season. So, you don't have to, because sometimes, especially in winter, the first season, you will most likely not be able to place your worker at these, or should I say your Frog Ambassador, at these locations. And this location says you pay 2 resources of your choice and discard 2 cards to gain a pearl. So that's one way to gain pearls in this game. But in winter, it's almost unaffordable, because if you decide to do that, you most likely will not have enough resources to start building in your town. So it seems almost pointless to get started in winter with this ability. So I wouldn't bother doing it in winter anyways. But when you think about it, I would imagine that the river would be frozen solid anyways during winter anyways. So just think of it as it's winter, so there's no need to worry about getting any of these effects, getting any pearls in winter. So each one of these destinations, however, is going to have a card at each one. And each of these locations is also going to have a pearl on top of the cards. And so this is another way that you can get pearls in the game. It's sort of almost a free way of getting pearls, because you don't have to spend anything to get these pearls. However, you do have to meet requirements. In order to visit this location, you have to have 2 tan traveler cards in your city. But then once you do have 2 tan traveler cards in the city, and you have a free Frog Ambassador, because you only have one anyway, and you haven't used him this season, you can put your Frog Ambassador here. You get to take the pearl, and then you also get to look at this card here, and then you may do what the card tells you to do. So, this one is Gus the Gardener. Reveal and discard 3 green production cards from your hand to gain 1 victory point, as well as 1 pearl. So here's another way you could gain a pearl with this card here. But you don't have to do this. Maybe you don't have 3 green production cards in your hand. Or maybe there are green production cards that you want to put in your city. And so maybe doing that right now wouldn't work for you. So you don't have to do it right now. You mostly did it so you could get this pearl for free. And then later down the road, maybe you'll want to discard 3 green production cards for a pearl and a point. So then later on, if nobody's Frog Ambassador is here, you can come back later in the game and put it there, for instance. So that's an option, for sure. Then, of course, this one you have to have 2 blue governance cards in your city before you can visit this location, this river destination. This one, you must have 2 red destinations in your town to visit this river destination. And in order to visit this one, you have to have 3 green production cards in your city to visit this river production. And of course, in order to visit the shoal, if you decide to do that, you're going to be paying 2 resources and discarding 2 cards. So, if you don't want to do that, don't put your frog ambassador there, obviously. And that's basically most of what this game has to offer as far as locations are concerned. However, there are 4 more locations that are pretty common in the game that you might want to do at the end of the game. You're probably not going to be able to do it at the beginning of the game, but at the end of the game, you probably will. Now, these cards, these things here, these destination cards, or should I say tokens, not cards, but these destinations, which were part of the original Everdell, will not be used if you're playing with Pearlbrook. They get replaced with these large wonders. And as you can see, that tower there, which is called Star Falls Flame, is worth 25 victory points at the end of the game. This bridge is Sunblaze Bridge, and it's worth 20. This Mistrise Fountain, is worth 15, and Hope Watch Gate is worth 10 at the end of the game. But in order to obtain such a big, huge wonder, you have to be able to do this. For this one, the one that's worth the most points, you have to pay 3 twigs, 3 resin, 3 pebbles, and 3 pearls, and discard 3 cards. So that's hard to do, but not impossible. This one, you have to pay 2, and 2, and 2 more, and then you have to pay 3 pearls and discard 3 cards. This one here is all 2s. And this one is the first 3 are 1s, and then you still have to do 2 pearls and 2 cards. So at the least, in order to at least get the lowest one, you must have at least 2 pearls in order to get this wonder. And of course you're discarding the pearls, basically. You're returning the pearls back to the shoal, basically. So that is something you can do with your pearls, and that is something you'll definitely want to do at the end of the game. But with that said, you might want to get 3 pearls at least, or maybe more. If you can, you might want to get 4 pearls or 5 pearls. It just depends on what adornment cards you have. Each player is going to get 2 of these adornment cards. The other player is not going to know what adornment cards the other players have, but they're going to get 2 of these each, and they may use them if they can, or if they want to. But each one of these adornment cards is going to cost a pearl in order to use it. So that is something to note, and we will go over those in the next video on cards, and these, and etc., on the cards themselves. But that's the whole thing. You want to obviously get more than 2 pearls if you can, but or 3 for that matter. But you also want to try to get, because you're also going to try to want to use these as well. Of course, if you use too many of these, you might end up just getting, one of these here on this side, which is cheaper. So it just depends on your strategy, and some of these work well with certain strategies, and others do not work with sometimes with your strategy. So it just depends in the end. It just depends. Like a friend of mine, let's see, he got one of his 2 adornments, which he didn't use because it just didn't work with his strategy. He got, let me find it. It's the Gilded Book. Here it is. So he had this one, and it's, you pay 1 pearl to activate this ability, and you gain resources equal to the cost of any blue governance in your city. And then it's worth 1 point for each blue governance in your city at the end of the game. However, he did not have a single blue governance card in his city. Not a single one at the end of the game. So getting this was obviously not worth it, because he wouldn't have gotten anything for it, obviously. And so sometimes these adornment cards may not work with your current strategy. So it just depends, which is why you get 2, which is why I think that's why they decided you get 2. It gives you a chance that at least one of the 2 will be useful to you, at least, hopefully. So that is something to note, for sure. Alright, well, we'll see you guys in the next video. I think I explained pretty much all of the destination stuff there is to do on your turn during the seasons. Alright, see you guys in the next video.